this brutal war on our people. Let me also reiterate our support and gratitude to the Secretary General, Mr. Guterres, to Tom Fletcher, to Mr. Lazzarini, and many others, including the heroic staff of the UN in defending, serving, and saving lives at the expense of theirs. Mr. President, there is cruelty in the bombardments, cruelty in the wanton destruction, cruelty in the blockade, and even cruelty in the distribution of very limited aid. We will be asked, how can you complain about food finally being delivered after having complained about starvation and famine? Isn't it any aid better than no aid at all? Who said these should be our choices? The doomed fate of our people. A full blockade against an entire civilian population, including 1 million children, depriving them of food, water, medicine, shelter, or a system of aid that is degrading, discriminatory, limited to food and limited in quantity, and which aims at the forcible displacement of the population and at facilitating the unlawful seizing of land. Do you know how we know this is the objective? Israeli officials are openly telling the world that this is their intention. Statement after statement, threat after threat. After seeing starvation used as a weapon of war, now we see aid being used as a weapon of war. Should we remain silent because the alternative is worse? Or should we stand up for the humanity of Palestinians, of all civilians in any situation of armed conflict? The images of hungry, desperate people storming out of the cages they were forced into in order to get aid is gut-wrenching and heartbreaking. These are people, human beings, deprived of water, food, medicine for so long and hanging to life by a thread. This is outraging the Palestinian people, all of them, including me. It is outrageous to see this situation and still you are not acting. How much more do you want? Israel wants to appear as allowing aid in, while continuing to make sure life cannot actually be sustained in Gaza. If Israel wanted aid in, it would open the crossings and allow humanitarian aid to enter immediately and fully, in coordination with the UN, including UNRWA, which proved during the ceasefire its ability to deliver aid to all those in need throughout the Gaza Strip. The UN plan, with its proven capacity on the ground, remains the only viable plan to deliver aid in line with the humanitarian obligations and principles, and it has all necessary safeguards, if that is the true concern. But the true concern is how to get rid of the Palestinians by killing them, starving them, and destroying Gaza so they have no choice but to leave if they want to live. In his speech yesterday, Netanyahu said two truths. The first is a Freudian slip, and I quote, "When you try to target civilians, you invariably hit civilians." End of quotation. And indeed, Israel has been hitting civilians. The second truth is, and I quote, "You always dehumanize, demonize before you annihilate." Let me repeat it. You always demonize before you annihilate. End of quotation. He was saying that as a historical lesson for all. What did he say about Gaza? And I quote, "This is the war of good against evil, the beginning of a determined war that is being waged on the battlefield. It is being waged against the human animals," that's us, "against the monsters," that's us, "that attacked us with hideous brutality 20 months ago, and we will defeat them and annihilate them. They will not remain. They will not remain." End of quotation. He repeated yesterday, and I quote, "This is a war of civilization against barbarism." End of quotation. We have to ask, is it civilized to bomb indiscriminately, to commit daily massacres, to kill entire families, to destroy all the requirements of life and survival for over 2 million people, including 1 million children? Is it civilized to blockade and to starve a people? If this is civilized, what is barbarism then? Is it civilized to bomb schools, serving as shelters for displaced civilians? When you see the images of 6-year-old Ward al-Sheikh Khalil, the first question should be, how did she find herself amidst the flames, which my brother Ammar showed you the picture? It is because of an Israeli strike on a school turned into a shelter. 36 people were killed in that strike, mostly women and children. Ward survived, but her mother and 5 of her siblings did not make it out of the burning buildings. And again, my brother Ammar showed you the pictures. She will forever have to live with that trauma. And as the distinguished brother Ferouz told us, 50% of those who are under 5 years old are not looking for life. They are looking for death because they cannot bear the pain of losing so many of dear ones, of their families and siblings. If we stop this genocide before she is killed too, Ward. Dr. Najjar, who was honoring her noble mission as a doctor trying to save lives, saw her children as they arrived to the hospital, their bodies burned and already dead. She lost 9 of her 10 children. A horror and trauma the mind cannot comprehend. The heart cannot withstand. Since Israel broke the ceasefire in March, over 1,300 Palestinian children have been killed, and around 4,000 have been injured. These are children. Children. And still, a war against barbarism. Children. Dozens of children are dying of starvation. The images of mothers embracing their motionless bodies, caressing their hair, talking to them, apologizing to them, is unbearable. How could anyone tolerate this horror? Excuse me, Mr. President. I have grandchildren. I know what they mean to their families. And to see this situation of the Palestinians without us having hearts to do something is beyond the ability of any normal human being to tolerate. Flames and hunger are devouring Palestinian children. This is why we are so outraged as Palestinians everywhere, the 14 millions of us in the occupied territories, in the diaspora, in the refugee camps, in far places, all the way to California and in between. We love our children. We love our people. We don't want to see them going through this tragedy and this savage attacks by those who claim the virtues of fighting against barbarism. But Netanyahu mocks claims of starvation in Gaza, despite the overwhelming evidence. And what proof does he rely on? That Israel takes thousands of prisoners and photograph them half naked, and that you can see they are not starving. He is speaking of the prisoners parked in trucks by the hundreds, or in the open last winter and the one before, including children. More inhumane and cruel treatment, more dehumanization, more disregard for basic human decency. Netanyahu claims that Israel is supplying the population with essential requirements: food, water, medicine. That's why he, and I quote him, that's why you didn't have mass starvation at all, he says. This is the same Netanyahu that decided to impose the total blockade that the people in Gaza endured over the last 10 weeks, deliberately denying them water, food, medicine, and shelter. This is the same Netanyahu who congratulated Smotrich, who, after the decision of allowing some aid end declared, and I quote, "Now we conquer, cleanse and stay until Hamas is destroyed. Along the way, what remains of the Gaza Strip is also being wiped out, simply because everything there has become one big terror city." End of quotation. The same Smotrich who spoke of the expansion of Israel's border on all fronts, inciting the crowd of Israeli extremists storming the streets of the old city of Jerusalem and Al-Haram al-Sharif on the so-called Jerusalem Day. Smotrich shouted, Are we afraid of the word occupation, meaning thinking of the situation there? He shouts, are we afraid of the world? The crowd answered, no, we are not afraid. Are we settling the land of Israel? Are we liberating Gaza? The crowd cheered. Netanyahu said the objective of this destruction, Netanyahu said that the objective of this distribution mechanism was to have a sterile zone in the south of Gaza where the entire population can move. And he has repeatedly said that Israel wants to depopulate Gaza, calling it voluntary migration, the code name for ethnic cleansing and to take control of Gaza. So what should we all do? Pretend we cannot see? We cannot hear? Netanyahu is asking us not to believe his own statements, not to believe that the actions he took actually took place. He is asking you to redefine all of international law to fit Israeli crimes, to enable these atrocities. He is asking you to accept, to bargain with people's lives and with our existence as a nation, and with peace and security for all in our region. He wants to define the terms at the expense of everybody else. His political survival relies on it. We all know this. We have known it for a long time. Nearly 200,000 casualties between killed, injured, and have been the consequence of this. So what should be condemned? Genocidal statements and actions, or statements and actions to prevent the genocide? What should we condemn? There should be no character assassination of those who stand against these brutal policies, while those behind them are never held to account. We should see the truth. We should see clearly. For our part, our position is clear and unequivocal. Nothing can justify attacking civilians, whether Palestinians or Israelis. Double standards no more. We are human beings. We are proud Palestinians. We sit around this table. We should be treated exactly like everybody else. Not to see what you want to see in the mirror and to ignore the obvious, the huge elephant in the room, the Palestinian people. Be fair. Use one stick of measurement. We are like the rest of you, all of you. Don't have a system of measurements for one group and pretend the others do not exist. We do exist. And although I love Mansour, the Palestinian artist, who my sister, Sigrid referred to him, we will never wither away, we will not go as Palestine. Although he said in that famous artwork that he see that Palestine is withering away. But he probably was referring to settlements and other issues. But I can assure you, we are rooted in Palestine more than the olive trees, the Roman ones, rooted in Palestine. We will never go away. We will not wither away. We are staying in our homeland, and we will attain our inalienable rights, hopefully sooner than later. Okay. For our part, our position is clear and unequivocal. Nothing can justify attacking civilians, whether Palestinians or Israelis. We reject dehumanization and double standards. Palestinian lives are not less important, less sacred, less worthy of protection. Mr. President, President Trump, together with Egypt and Qatar, is making every effort towards a permanent ceasefire that could end the killing, release hostages and prisoners, begin to end the horrific humanitarian situation, lead to the withdrawal of Israeli forces. The Palestinian Authority is ready to fully assume its responsibilities in the Gaza Strip, both in terms of governance and security, with international support and presence. President Trump said he wants to see peace prevail in the region. That is the Trump plan, not the distorted version promoted by Netanyahu to pursue the war. It is time for all states to do what is necessary to end this genocide, break this siege, end this illegal occupation, achieve the independence of the State of Palestine and the two-state solution and peace. That will be for the benefit of all states and all peoples, Palestinians and Israelis and the entire region. If the Security Council does not act, there is nothing that prevents you from acting in your national capacity. Act in your national capacity. Do something. Stop this crime from continuing against the Palestinian people, this genocide. Let's not try to shift the blames of those who are not acting. Show us your true character, your commitment to international law, your commitment to justice. You can act. And by acting in your national capacity also, you might inspire the Security Council to act in its collective, powerful capacity. This is not a so-called reward or gift. This is the right of the Palestinian people to life, to live as a free people, to live in peace, security, and with human dignity in their homeland, side by side, in peace and security with Israel. These decisions can no longer be deferred. States must act within these halls at the national level, collectively, and at the upcoming international conference in June. They need to show that their resolve far outweighs the will and sinister plans of the enemies of peace. Free Palestine, as hundreds of millions of people are screaming in the streets in every corner of the globe. Free our region from occupation and wars. It has all gone on for far too long. The human toll and suffering are more unbearable than ever. There must be an immediate ceasefire. There must be unimpeded humanitarian aid and protection for our people. Hostages and detainees must be released. The forced displacement of the Palestinian people and annexation of Palestinian land must be stopped. Save Gaza, save Palestine, save the two-state solution, save peace. Thank you, Mr. President.